Long before a breakthrough becomes visible, something is already happening beneath the surface. Quiet shifts easy to miss if you're only watching your circumstances for proof that God is working. Many believers assume nothing is happening simply because nothing has changed externally yet. Today I want to show you something that can completely change how you interpret this exact season. Because Scripture consistently shows preparation arriving well before the breakthrough it's building toward, and learning to recognize that preparation changes how you wait. Zechariah 4:10 asks a pointed question: who dares despise the day of small things? That verse rebukes the tendency to dismiss quiet, unimpressive beginnings as meaningless, when they're often the exact groundwork a major breakthrough is being built upon. Today we're going to walk through 7 signs that this preparation is already underway in your life. Sign 1. Small tests keep appearing in areas connected to what you're believing for. Before a major breakthrough, God often allows smaller versions of the same test to surface first, checking whether your character will hold steady on a small scale before entrusting you with something larger. Luke 16:10 says, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much." If you've noticed a pattern of smaller tests recently, tests of patience, integrity, or faithfulness, particularly in the exact area you're praying about, those tests are rarely coincidental. They're often the exact proving ground your breakthrough requires before it arrives. Sign 2. You feel drawn to strengthen disciplines you had previously neglected. Right before major breakthroughs, many believers describe a sudden pull back toward disciplines they'd let slip: consistent prayer, deeper study of Scripture, honesty in areas they'd been avoiding. 2 Timothy 2:21 speaks of those who cleanse themselves becoming instruments for special purposes, made holy, useful to the master, and prepared to do any good work. That preparation described in Timothy is rarely accidental timing. A sudden hunger to return to discipline often signals that something significant is approaching, requiring a level of readiness your current habits weren't sustaining. Sign 3. People around you begin requiring more patience and grace than usual. Before a breakthrough, relationships sometimes become unexpectedly more difficult, testing patience in ways that seem to increase right when you'd expect life to get easier instead. Colossians 3:12-13 calls believers to clothe themselves with compassion, kindness, humility, and patience, bearing with one another. Increased relational friction during a season of preparation is not necessarily punishment. It is often training, strengthening the exact patience and grace a larger assignment will eventually require you to carry consistently. Sign 4. Old fears you thought you'd already conquered begin resurfacing. Right before stepping into something greater, fears once considered defeated sometimes reappear with surprising intensity, as though testing whether the victory was genuine or only surface level. 2 Timothy 1:7 reminds believers that God has not given a spirit of fear but of power, love, and a sound mind. The resurgence of old fear before breakthrough is not evidence of failure. It is often the final confrontation necessary to prove that the fear no longer holds the authority it once did over your decisions. Sign 5. You begin receiving unexpected opportunities to serve in ways that stretch you. Before elevation, God frequently increases opportunities to serve others, often in situations slightly beyond your current comfort or skill level, stretching capacity ahead of the moment it will be required. 1 Peter 4:10 instructs believers to use whatever gift they've received to serve others, faithfully administering God's grace in its various forms. Increased opportunities to serve, particularly ones that feel slightly uncomfortable or unfamiliar, often function as training ground, quietly building exactly what a larger breakthrough will demand of you later. Sign 6. Your prayers shift from asking for the outcome to asking for the character to sustain it. A noticeable shift often occurs in prayer right before major breakthroughs, less focused on requesting the blessing itself, more focused on requesting wisdom, humility, and strength to steward it well once it arrives. Solomon modeled this precisely in 1 Kings 3, asking God not for wealth or long life, but for a discerning heart to govern well. A request that pleased God so completely that wealth and honor were given alongside the wisdom he actually asked for. When prayers shift toward character rather than outcome, that shift is often a sign the outcome itself is drawing near. Sign 7. You sense a growing conviction that the breakthrough is not for you alone. Of all 7 signs, this one carries the deepest weight. As breakthroughs draw closer, many believers describe a shift in perspective, recognizing that whatever is coming was never meant to serve their comfort alone, but to become provision, encouragement, or example for others watching their journey. Genesis 12:2 records God's promise to Abraham that he would be blessed to become a blessing to others. When you begin sensing that your breakthrough carries a purpose beyond your own life, that shift in perspective is frequently the final piece of preparation completing before the breakthrough itself arrives. When you put these 7 signs together, smaller tests proving your character, renewed hunger for spiritual discipline, increased grace required in relationships, old fears resurfacing for final confrontation, stretching opportunities to serve, prayers shifting toward character over outcome, and a growing sense of purpose beyond yourself, the picture becomes unmistakable. None of this preparation is wasted, and none of it is accidental. It is the day of small things Zechariah refused to let anyone despise. Quietly assembling everything your breakthrough will require the moment it finally arrives. If this message spoke to your life, share it with someone who needs to recognize the preparation happening in their own season. Subscribe to the channel to keep growing together in biblical truth, and write in the comments, "I recognize the preparation, my breakthrough is already being formed." Today I choose to steward this season faithfully, trusting that nothing being built in me right now is being wasted.